Welcome again to our Lenten Devotional series, Again and Again, from Sanctified Art. Today we begin with a reading of a poem written by Reverend Sarah Are, entitled Until That Day. We cannot shake hands right now. We cannot hug or kiss cheeks. We cannot lean in to tell stories or draw close to pray. We cannot pass the peace or even pass the time in each other's homes. We cannot eat together because the world is sick. So instead of holding each other, we hold distance. We hold masks. We hold statistics on the tips of our tongues. We hold fear. We hold space. We hold tense conversations. Maybe by the time that you are hearing this, the day will have come for all God's people to be gathered at the table. Maybe by the time you're hearing this, we will be eating together. Maybe we will be hugging. Hopefully, there will be dancing and laughing and kissing and leaning in to tell stories and throwing our heads back to laugh. But until that day, I will wiggle my toes and think of foot washing. I will eat sweet bread ravenously, and I will remember communion. I will close my eyes and picture your face. I will clasp my hands and know. As sure as one palm knows the other, that we are being held. We are being held together. A reading from John, beginning with the 13th chapter. Now before the festival of the Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart from this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The devil had already put into the heart of Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, to betray him. And during supper, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, got up from the table, took off his outer robe, and tied a towel around himself. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was tied around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "You do not know what I am doing, but later you will understand." Peter said to him, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, "One who is bathed does not need to wash except for the feet, but is entirely clean. And you are clean, though not all of you." For he who knew who was to betray him, and for this reason he said, "Not all of you are clean." After he had washed their feet, had put on his robe, and had returned to the table, he said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for that is what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have set you an example that you should also do as I have done to you. Very truly, I tell you, servants are not greater than their master, nor messengers greater than the one who sent them. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them." When he had gone out, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man has been glorified, and God has been glorified in him. If God has been glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and will glorify him at once. Little children, I am with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and as I said to the Jews, so I now say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also should love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." A commentary from Reverend Denise Anderson. She writes, "One of the holiest duties of pastoring is coming alongside families at the end of a life. No two experiences are identical, and a few are exceptionally difficult. Some people are the glue of the family and act as a linchpin for their relatives. When they go, the family scatters. That can be due to bad blood, or it can simply be that Aunt May was the one who always called everyone together. It's harder now without her initiative and good cooking. In the best cases, people prepare their folks for their departure. It doesn't stop grief, but hopefully preparation makes grief manageable. This is Jesus' work on this day. Mandatum, the origin of Maundy, is Latin for commandment. As crucifixion nears, Jesus gives his remaining disciples a commandment related to the time they've spent together. They're to love one another as Jesus loved them. Not dissimilar from the Shema Yisrael, from which the greatest commandment comes. It points to Jesus' divinity and engages his disciples' memory. How did Jesus love them? They have to draw from their encounters. The acts of love and healing, the teaching, the signs and wonders, all of it needs to be recalled. Throughout John, the disciples are said to have remembered certain events after Jesus' resurrection. John's gospel emphasizes memory and its role in belief. And we see Jesus constantly preparing them for this time. They could keep each other close by emulating the one who kept them close. Additionally, Jesus had already promised to leave them with the advocate, who'd step in when memory and faculties fail. Yes, he'd have to leave them, but they wouldn't be alone. Again and again, we are held together, even in our deepest grief and greatest danger. Remember that and believe.